Buttons. Ever since mankind was able to touch and feel things with their grubby fingers, we've had a desire to do so. And so the invention of the button was inevitable. We've put a lot of care and attention into making buttons over the years. Mechanical keyboards are the first example that comes to mind. As your finger descends onto those beloved keycaps, a satisfying and affirming click is often made, telling you that you have indeed pushed a button. You've also got this guy who loves buttons so much that he made this pseudo-nuclear arming device that, instead of clearing the launch of a nuke, turns on his computer. Speaking of nukes, it seems that there was something about the Cold War era that inspired people to make buttons that were awesome. The Nintendo Entertainment System nailed buttons on the first try, even managing to blend buttons of different types. The A and B buttons had a rubber membrane that snapped into place when you pushed them, giving a satisfying sense of finality to the button push. Meanwhile, the D-pad just has 4 mushy buttons that simulate the feeling of the Atari's joystick controller, while still only using buttons. However, in the modern age, buttons have been getting less and less attention, despite them being a pretty big part of our lives still. This house fan I own has buttons that are almost flush with the rest of the control panel surface. When you do push the button, it clicks into place extremely weakly, making it difficult to know whether I've pushed a button or if I've just moved the plastic sheet on the panel's surface. TV remotes are even worse. They're usually so mushy that if you push them and nothing happens, you have no idea whether the sensor just missed the button push or if you screwed up pushing the button yourself. Meanwhile, there's also an industry of completely fake buttons. Your smartphone, though it has buttons on the sides that generally feel pretty good, is mostly just a flat blank slate. This means if you want to make an app with a button in it, you have to put a virtual button on the screen of the phone. The result is the user pushing on a completely flat surface, oftentimes receiving no feedback at all. This often results in a similar problem to the TV remote issue I mentioned earlier. If nothing happens, you don't know whose fault it is right away. Oh, and don't even get me started on those kiosks at McDonald's. Those are the biggest offender in the field of fake buttons that only work if you whisper sweet nothings into the machine's microphone. Now with all of this said, fake buttons can work. The game Coin Master has a slot machine that when you push the big red button to spin it, clearly gets pushed down in the game. This creates a better illusion that the button has indeed been pressed. Many modern cell phones also have tactile feedback when you type on the keyboard, making the experience a relatively convincing one. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we as a society put more thought into designing the things that we touch, our world can be made a better place because of it, so long as we oblige our desire to push buttons.